Hello there Pisces, welcome to your October 2023 reading. I'm Lou and I'm so glad you're here with me. Let's open up the reading with Black Cockatoo Rain Magic. The Black Cockatoo represents using our voice to establish emotional and spiritual freedom. So this is really about expressing our emotions through our communication. I love that for you Pisces, pairing it up with the Taurus eclipse that's happening on the 28th of October, so at the end of the month. So this eclipse in Taurus is the final eclipse in the Scorpio-Taurus eclipse cycle that has been happening since November 2021. So most prominent throughout 2022, the events that took place through the eclipses in that time. Taurus represents your third house, so these eclipses were taking place in your third house, your ninth house. But with that third house activated, this is about your voice, is about your speaking, your communication. Can be about your written word, the way you express yourself and your thought habits as well. So there's been these eclipse type energy taking place to do with that over the last couple of years, and this Taurus eclipse will be the last one, so it'll be bringing closure. It'll be bringing a finale to the situation. With the Black Cockatoo, it's encouraging you to speak your emotions, speak your truth, speak how you're feeling very clearly. And that will help you to bring some sort of resolution, some sort of closure, some sort of ending to the situation or to a situation. Now, the other thing that is happening on the 22nd, we have Jupiter, who is in your third house as well, bringing blessings, bringing solutions, bringing great ideas, great communication skills, great conversations, okay? It's making really positive aspect to Venus. So Venus and Jupiter are the two benefic planets in astrology. They bring the best energy, the best solutions, and that's happening with that third house just before the eclipse. Venus at that point will be in your seventh house. So this is to do with partners. Venus in the seventh house is all about your relationships, your intimate connections, your marriage partners. It can be your business partners too. If you're single, it's your connection with yourself, your partnership with yourself, so self-partnering. And even if you're in a relationship, it's self-partnering as well. So there could be communications, there could be conversations, there could be new ideas, it could be a fresh start. And the cards are asking you, the Black Cockatoo is really encouraging you to express how you're feeling very clearly, and it will have really positive results. Now we're in Libra season this month. Libra represents your 8th house, and we have an eclipse in Libra as well. So we have an eclipse on the 14th in Libra. That's the first eclipse in the new eclipse cycle, or the first Libra eclipse, sorry. We had an Aries eclipse in April. So this is initiating a new cycle in the eclipses, a new storyline in the eclipses for you in the 8th house, a very deep vulnerable space and to do with personal power, to do with your empowerment. And so that's what this season is about with Libra season as well. We've just been through quite a lot, Pisces. So in August, we had Venus in retrograde in Leo in your 6th house, and then throughout September, we had this Mercury retrograde in Virgo in your 7th house, really highlighting your partnerships, but also highlighting yourself, who you are. And as you open up the month, on the 3rd of October, there's this strong opposition between Mercury in rulership in Virgo, your 7th house, opposing Neptune in rulership in your 1st house in Pisces. So that's going to really bring up any sort of conflict that may be happening there in your partnerships or within yourself. And maybe that is the catalyst to needing to be open with your emotional communication at the end of the month. So you may struggle a little bit at the start of the month, and then the communication comes in at the end of the month. The other thing that's happening is Lilith will move into Virgo in your 7th house, and Venus will move into Virgo in your 7th house. So Lilith on the 4th, Venus on the 9th. Lilith is the Lilith transit lasts for 9 months, and it brings up a lot of wounds, a lot of wounded space within relationships. So if you have ever felt or ever had relationships where you were rejected, where you were abandoned, where you were shamed, okay? Or if you ever self-abandoned, self-rejected, self-shamed, which we all have done, Lilith really brings that up to the surface, and that can come up through a relationship. Maybe in your relationship triggers these issues to be addressed. Okay, or maybe you attract someone with a lot of Lilith qualities into your life and have a relationship with them. But in whatever way, the themes will be around rejection and abandonment. And I encourage you, when you're dealing with this, to do the work with Lilith. Go in and do that work, and honor yourself. If you avoid doing this work, that's just another form of abandonment, of self-abandonment, and it will just strengthen that story, that narrative in your own space, right? So with the Lilith in the 7th and your 8th house activated, there's a need to really be with yourself and support yourself and nourish yourself in an empowered way, not abandoning yourself, which actually looks like being vulnerable. So vulnerability is maybe a strong theme for you throughout October, Pisces. Maybe that you're being encouraged to express your vulnerabilities. Maybe you're needing to support somebody else's vulnerabilities, but vulnerability will be a theme that comes up for you. With Venus there, I like that for your support. She'll be very supportive, and Venus can bring easiness to the relationship. So Venus will soften this energy for you. But on the 9th, as she moves across the cusp, she'll make an opposition to Saturn in your 1st house. So again, encouraging you to look at yourself and how you restrict yourself. Now you're coming into the reading with the 2 of Wands. So you've got a vision for the future, looking towards the future. I like that for you, Pisces. Okay, with the solar eclipse that's happening on the 14th of October in Libra, that eclipse in your 8th house. It's a solar eclipse, so it's a new cycle, and it's a new eclipse in this new eclipse cycle as well. So fresh new start, fresh new beginning. It could bring you some ideas. It could bring you some inspiration that drives you towards the future, having that future orientation. At the end of the month, we move into Scorpio season as well, and so that's going to activate your 9th house. So again, you're going to be looking towards the future with that. You're going to be looking towards your mindset and what you want for your life moving forward. The universe needs you to roll with the punches, the wheel of fortune. So there's a nice healthy balance between some of the harder aspects in the astrology this month and the really positive aspects. So there's going to be challenges and there's going to be solutions. And so with the wheel of fortune, what I mentioned earlier on the 22nd with that trine between Venus and Jupiter, that's going to bring a lot of results. It's going to bring some positive solutions. The Wheel of Fortune is ruled by Jupiter, so it really does bring in blessings, bring in miracles, bring in solutions to your situation. But the thing about the Wheel of Fortune and about Jupiter is that we have to be prepared. We have to pave the way for it. We have to tend to the soil, meaning our vibration, right? Our state of being. We have to be ready, and that involves persistence, being persistent in this vision, being persistent in your optimism, in your enthusiasm, in your hopefulness, okay? Feeling hopeful about the future, because Jupiter can only deliver you what you expect and what you're ready for. So opening yourself up to being ready for the best blessings you can imagine will help you to bring in this Wheel of Fortune, bring in this change. And as the change comes in, because the Wheel of Fortune does shift, it shifts things. As the change comes in, rolling with it, going with it. The words that came up when I saw that card was roll with the punches. So whatever comes up for you is just rolling with it, not digging in too deeply, especially if there's work around vulnerability and needing to be raw and within your emotional space, needing to be able to express yourself emotionally and clearly with clarity, okay? Being able to do that involves a little bit of rolling with it. the environment is bringing you the Five of Cups in reverse. So Five of Cups is the energy of sadness, of loss, of heaviness. In the reverse position, it means that you're holding on to it. So there may be grief from the past. There may be things coming up from your past relationships, say, or past situations that feel really sad, or whether you felt really sad, where you felt really heartbroken, really like a heavy sense of loss. With the Five of Cups, in reverse, you've been holding on to it. And the environment is going to be showing you that. So maybe that's what this raw emotional communication comes out, is maybe there's a need to express some of these more painful emotions that you've been holding on to, for the purpose of upliftment, for the purpose of releasing them and shifting them. Wheel of Fortune. Wheel of Fortune represents a shift. The universe is asking you to make a shift, and maybe that shift involves releasing some of the emotions that you have been holding on to, holding space for too long. Getting it out in that way, in whatever way is possible for you. So this communication, I mean, when this Black Cockatoo card came out, with my initial response was that this was going to be communicating with a partner, but it could also be a therapist, right? Finding a therapist, or finding someone who is neutral, that you can communicate some of these more heavy emotions so that they can be released, they can be shifted, they can be transcended and transmuted for the future, so that you can look towards the future with hopefulness, with optimism, and release some of that heavy baggage, some of that baggage that you've been dragging around with you. Not to say that's a bad thing to do that, but it's just that it's time, is what I'm hearing for you, Pisces. It's time to let it go. It's time to make that shift so that you can embrace the new fresh energy that's coming in, especially with those eclipses. There's a fresh energy coming in with it. To be able to embrace it, there's a need to make space for it, okay? That's really important for you to hear. When we release it, we're not dishonoring the situation or the person or the event or ourselves. We're not dishonoring it by releasing it. You know, if you're holding on to it because you feel out of a space of guilt, which is what I'm really feeling, there's no animosity there if you were to release it. It's more about creating space for something new to grow. And sometimes when we create space, it takes a little while for something new to grow. And it can be this teething process that you need to move through. You need to allow yourself to be okay with that space being empty for a little bit of time. Okay, we have the Ten of Wands and the King of Wands. Fabulous. So there may have been a lot of responsibility, a lot of heavy burden, Ten of Wands, on you. You know, you may be feeling really weighed down in actual fact, and maybe that's just in an emotional space, weighed down emotionally. Maybe other people have dumped their emotions on you, but through the use of guilt is what I'm really feeling and hearing for you, Pisces, is that maybe people have used guilt to trap you into thinking that you have more responsibility for a certain situation than you really do. This is what can shift for you for the purpose of moving into a new, fresh start in the future, getting that fresh burst of energy and inspiration for your future, for what you can attract to you, is really laying down those Ten of Wands, putting them down, and shifting into King of Wands. King of Wands is super confident, right? Super confident and super sure of himself, super sure of where he is going in life. Again, that Jupiter energy, it's not an arrogant type of confidence. It's just a certainty. It's that feeling of certainty. So if the Five of Cups in reverse and that guilty feeling that is overwhelming me has made you feel really uncertain, made you doubt yourself. Maybe this is those oppositions coming up at the start of the month between your first house, seventh house. You know, there's guilt, there's doubt. that can shift. This is what's possible for you in October, to shift that, so you can have some more confidence, some more certainty, some more self-assuredness, a stronger footing in life, a stronger footing in who you are as a person and your place in this world, Pisces. When we move into Scorpio season, so on the 24th, Scorpio season officially starts, but we do have Mercury moving in there on the 22nd and Mars moving in there on the 12th, Mars moving into rulership, so really inspiring you in that 9th house energy. You can start looking at your mindset and your perspective. So maybe there's going to be a shift in perspective. Maybe that Wheel of Fortune is really just shifting how you're thinking about things. Maybe it's just a shift that's as simple as shifting what meaning you apply, your thoughts about a certain person, a certain situation, particularly from the past with that 5 of Cups in reverse. Maybe there was a situation in the past, you feel a lot of guilt, you feel a lot of loss there, and you can just simply talk to somebody about this, maybe a therapist, and they can help you to redefine what happened, help you to apply a new meaning, help you to see it from a new perspective, so that from a more logical perspective, a more rational perspective. So there's a lot of emotion, a lot of heaviness in the emotion here, and so helping you to uplift that through recognizing that the spaces where there's a blind spot is what I'm hearing. So whatever you've got a blind spot on, where you're applying more weight of responsibility on yourself than is necessary, than actually was how it was, you can readjust that, you can redefine that and make it mean something different, and that can help you to move forward into the future, Pisces. We have the Queen of Wands. I love that. Queen of Wands, King of Wands are the counterparts of the Wands. We've got the 7 of Coins on the bottom of the deck. Look at this card. It's so beautiful. And so the King of Wands, Queen of Wands are counterparts. So we're looking at your relationships. We already know that the 7th house is super active. The 8th house is also super active. These are your relationships, your marriage, partnerships, those really important relationships in your life, the significant ones, okay? So if you're not in a relationship, maybe you'll meet somebody this month, but more so I think this is about self-partnering. Even if you are in a relationship, self-partnering is super important, and this is this encouragement to do that. These two, the Queen and King of Wands, they are the counterpart of the spiritual side of things. They're also heavily connected with the 9th house and Jupiter, which is really important this month for you. The 9th house being Scorpio season, and Jupiter with that trine with Venus. Okay, so this energy is going to be really important for you, Pisces. Now, this is about partnerships, but it's also about self-partnering, like I've said. And so taking that time to be a partner to yourself. Remember what I said with Lilith about abandonment and self-abandonment and that 8th house? So really looking at making sure you are not abandoning yourself, which means assessing and identifying what your needs are on every level. So physically, mentally, emotionally, spiritually, what do you need? And then meeting those needs yourself. Or putting up really strong boundaries, really clear boundaries. So when people are coming into your life, they know what those needs are and they know whether or not they're going to be able to meet those needs. Of course, we're not relying on other people to meet our own needs. We have to do that ourselves. That's part of self-partnering, but it's like sort of there's unavoidable that we sort of rely on other people to meet our needs. And it's just about how much weight you put on that and your perspective around that. So you can change your perspective around that by meeting your own needs. And the way you do that is by identifying what they are. So you'll have a really hard time this month, Pisces, if you abandon yourself. That's when this 5 of Cups will become really significant. If you abandon yourself and you reject yourself or shame yourself. Guilt and shame coming up this month for you, Pisces. So if you're shaming yourself and you're feeling guilty about things, it'll be a hard month. I think with the 7 of Coins on the bottom of the deck, there is a lot of work to be done, but it's going to be worth it. It's an investment in your future. Okay, and the environment will be mirroring to you the spark of life. That's that two of Wands energy that you're coming in with, this spark of life, this hopefulness, this optimism, this excitement and eagerness. How much you are feeling that or how much you are not feeling that is going to be reflected in the environment. So the events you encounter, the people you encounter, the people you're speaking with, the conversations you have, the blessings that come in, the solutions that come in, they're all going to be a reflection of where you sit on this continuum with the spark of life. If you're feeling very downtrodden, very heavy energy, feeling weighed down, that spark is not there, that the flame in your belly is not ignited, okay, that's going to be reflected. Your environment is going to feel the same way. So looking at that, if you're having a hard time, that's where you can go, that spark in your belly. I'm noticing with this 7 of coins card, it does look like a flame. So there could be this need to inflame or to light the flame within. And if you are doing that, if you're doing really well at that, that's going to be reflected to you in the environment too. So great experiences will come to you. You'll have a really good time. Those blessings, those miracles can come to you in correlation to that spark. So this month, surrender to complete healing. Open fully to the loving, compassionate forces of the universe that support your physical, emotional, and spiritual healing. On every level, you need to support yourself, Pisces, for this healing, for the healing journey, for the purpose of healing, supporting yourself through this 5 of Cups energy. And so that a lot of that's going to be involved with how you speak and communicate your emotions. And surrender. Defensiveness. Defensiveness is a sign of weakness. To communicate in a more empowered way, stay connected and hear someone out. Then offer a clear, non-defensive response. Easier said than done. It really is easier said than done, especially if you're in a heavy space. If you're feeling wounded, if you're feeling guilt, if you're feeling shame, sometimes the ego can compensate for that by becoming defensive. So again, just something else to look out for if you're feeling defensive. Just recognize it, identify it, use your conscious awareness, put a little bit of conscious, deliberate thought around it. And also the good thing about defensiveness is it shows us what our triggers are, and it shows us what underlies those triggers. So why? So it helps to get to the crux of emotions quickly. If you can stop and be like, okay, I just had a defensive moment. What does that mean? What was I defending? Why was I defending it? What that person said or what that person did triggered me. So there is that component of it where it can help in the healing process to work with that defensiveness, to maybe get to the bottom of this 5 of Cups in reverse and to be able to communicate clearly. To do that requires maturity and it requires conscious awareness, which takes energy. It takes energy. I was going to say it's the hard path, but it's actually the easy path in disguise. It's easy to respond. It's easy to have a reaction, an emotional reaction in the moment, but in the long run, it makes life a lot harder. So being conscious, being deliberate is harder in the moment, but in the long run, it makes life a lot easier. So it really is the easy path. And one final little note for you, Pisces. Learn to keep your heart open and soft through the trials of life. It's that 5 of Cups in reverse, the 10 of Wands. The 5 of Cups in reverse may be a closed heart. It may be a space where you're not able to tap into those vulnerabilities that are coming out with the 8th house activation, the Lilith in the 7th, requiring you to be really vulnerable. Maybe you're just not ready for it. There's just no space for it because of the trials of life, 10 of Wands. This month is going to be really challenging if you're in that space. If you're really resistant to being vulnerable, to being open-hearted, okay, to being emotional and to emotional healing, if you're very resistant to that, it can be difficult. So learn to keep your heart open and soft through the trials of life. Especially, if the 10 of Wands is an event happens in your life and it triggers you and you react defensively and close down your heart, that would be sad, but it's also good because you can stop and be like, okay, this just happened. What does it mean? Like I said, you can do that conscious practice, be conscious and deliberate, and then from it you can make adjustments, make improvements, and slowly over time you will learn to keep an open heart through those trials. It's not an easy thing to do. It's not something we're going to get right every time, and even you may be able to do it for a long time and then have a relapse, okay? We're all human, having this human experience, but for this month, that's something you can work on, Pisces, to just bring a little bit more awareness and a little bit more evolution there. So that is your reading for October, Pisces. Thank you so much for being here with me. I love doing these readings for you. I love that you watch it. I really appreciate your time, and I appreciate you subscribing to my channel. I hope to see you again next month. Take care.